I'm doing, man. The
Well,
wife and
everybody,
kids is out of town, so mama, a lot of my viewers know I take care of my mama.
Mhm.
Uh, she knows the wife and kids are out of town, so I had to give her a little extra attention. Uh, my old dog out in the yard needed a little extra attention today too. He's getting old, and I'm a little worried about him. It's hot,
Mhm.
but hey, man, um, the alternative is, a guy always asks me, "How you doing today?" I'm like, "I'm above ground and I'm breathing."
Yep,
So as long as I got that going for me, everything else can get better. So
that's good enough. Yep,
that's it.
yep. So that's good, man. And I don't know if you noticed, but I titled this "When the Cat's Away."
When the cat's away, that's funny. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mice must pay. Yes.
Yep. Which funny enough, my wife said her and her sister slash cousin, that sounds redneck. They're cousins, but they were raised together like sisters.
Uh-huh.
Um, might jump in the live stream tomorrow, but they were like, Jocelyn was like, no, I'm not sure I want any part of the podcast tonight. She knows my filter's off. I'm half cocked. It's been
Mhm.
another week. So
Good, good, good. So yeah. What else? How'd work go today? Everything get done, situated. You're settled for the weekend.
oh yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm
Nice,
done.
nice.
I am the only reason I'm gonna leave this house tomorrow is to go check in on again my mother, and that's it.
Sweet.
Daniel is once again off duty. I mean, don't get me wrong, I got little shit to do. I got grass to cut,
Mhm.
shit like that. But I mean, I can do it
Yeah,
when I want to. I'm not in a hurry,
that's
so
dope. That's
I'm
dope.
good, man. I'm good.
Yeah. Today
I hear you, Chad.
it's my uncle's birthday today. He turned
Happy
88.
88. Happy
88.
fucking birthday.
Yep.
I'll never see 88. I have to respect that.
Bro, if I do, I don't even want to know the condition I'm gonna be in, like pickled or on like tubes. I don't know what the heck they're gonna do. Like, how do they resuscitate Keith Richards?
I don't
Like,
know.
they just keep him afloat in that state of like haze? Maybe that's what they do it for me at that point in time.
Uh, I'm beginning to think that either they just keep cloning that dude, or Keith Richards is like some heavenly deity that I mean, he's like actually God or something, and we just don't know.
Hmm.
I don't think a nuclear bomb would kill that motherfucker.
Boy, boy, there are a few of those artists that I wondered when are they ever going to stop. I just saw today Billy Joel stopping his gig that he's been doing out at Madison Square Garden all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's been doing that gig for years, man.
No more
Um,
Piano Man.
no more Piano Man there, I guess.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
a
The
lot of
funny thing is, my wife is a few years younger than me. If I
uh,
live to be 88 and she's 81, if I have to be in a walker, I mean, in a wheelchair or on a cane or a walker or something, I'm still gonna be chasing her ass around the house. I mean, I can do nothing when I get her, but I'm
right,
still gonna be chasing her ass around the house.
right. Good Lord.
Got to stay
Now,
young.
I don't know if I want to be
Except
88.
8 Mile.
88 is a long ways away, like a long ways away. So,
Hey, hey, wait a minute. Define long, because how old are you?
55.
That's 33 years. That's less years
Wait,
than you've been alive. So careful how you define long.
dude, like I've already lived a long time. I'm good.
You're at
I'm
that age where if you live to be 100, you still got fewer days ahead of you than you do behind you.
Oh
So,
God, dude, I don't want to be on this earth. Look, I don't even want to be in 25 years. I do not want these people taking care of me in this country. There's not a chance. No,
oh,
no,
they
no,
won't.
no, no, no,
In
no,
this
no,
country, there'll be no such thing.
no,
There'll be no such thing.
no, 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 no. I need a cabin in the woods somewhere
By
far
then,
back.
there'll be some fucking communist program to put people out of their miseries at a certain age and feed them to the fucking hogs or something to help
Right.
with the electric cars or some
Yeah, to
bullshit.
supplement battery power for
Yeah.
dude. Don't even get me started with electric cars. Okay, I do
Oh,
not
I
feel
got beef with those too.
I do not feel sympathy for you when you ran out of juice. Like
Right.
if you are driving your $89,000 Tesla and your shit ran out of juice on the side of the freeway, I'm not pulling over to help you. I'm not.
And
I'm not.
the thing is, look, I'm one of those people that believes, yes, eventually we must get off fossil fuels. However, none of the alternatives that they're selling us today are any better. One, wind, you know, a lot of people fucked with Trump because he made a comment, well, the wind's not always blowing. And the funny thing is, they all called him stupid, but that actually, he was directly quoting the manufacturer who said, one, you have no idea what fossil fuels it goes into building these. Two, you don't know how much money it goes into the maintenance and the upkeep on these, plus the upkeep and maintenance on the land that they're on, plus the fact that the wind don't always blow. They're laughing all the way to the bank because they will never produce the energy to be anywhere close to worth the cost. Then you have electric cars, which, one, don't tell me, look, I live in the South. There's gas pipelines that run through here where the land is still so pristine, people hunt on it. But yet they want to tell you electric's better because it doesn't harm the environment. Man, those lithium mines are permanent scars. Those mines will still be a scar on the earth thousands of years from now. Oil can at least be cleaned up. Two, those batteries are incredibly toxic to dispose of, much worse than the emissions that hit our atmosphere. And three, as Japan's finding out about solar energy, those panels are also horrifically toxic to dispose of. And they were the big pioneer, and now all them big fields of solar, they're changing them all, and they don't know what to do. They can't just throw them in the ground. They can't throw them in the water. They can't burn them. So they're just stuck with massive piles of these things. I mean, yes, eventually we need to get off fossil fuels, but one, you can't force it overnight. You'll crash every market there is. And two, none of the alternatives currently are better.
Also, even if we just talk from an environmental standpoint, a difference between a combustion vehicle and an electric vehicle. Okay, we'll take a truck that has a very big gas tank. You know, probably F-150, F-250, F-350 category truck, right? Smash that thing and watch it blow up into flames. Okay. Now, on the other side of the freeway, you smash the $90,000 Tesla and it blows up. They'll be putting out that Tesla fire 14 to 16 hours after they put out the one on the truck.
Right.
You just think about all that burning into the air and the chemicals in that burning into the air, and there is no way to contain it because there's just so much. And so just from, I've seen them because, you know, Tesla was out here. That's where they're from, Bay Area. And you know, every time there was a Tesla that caught on fire, man, it makes the local news like crazy.
Right.
You know,
and not to even mention the fact that our power grids in this country are already overtaxed. You start putting thousands and thousands of electric cars. California is already going through this. Hey, buy electric, but you can only charge ever so often because our power grids suck.
Right.
I mean, our infrastructure is just not. It's like I said, we probably need to steer away, but none of the alternatives right now are any better, cost-effective, or better for the environment.
There is no viable one-size-fits-all solution. Sure, you can reduce the impact of combustion vehicles. If you don't think they've done that, take a look at Los Angeles. When I grew up in LA, the smog was so bad that everybody had asthma. Okay. And now you go down there and you don't see the dark smog. You don't see the haze over the city anymore. Right. So they've improved things with combustion engines, and they can, and they probably will continue to after this. But I don't think you get rid of one and say the other's a solution.
And the thing is, they're trying to like all these carbon taxes and all these green programs and all this kind of shit. They're trying to make the United States foot the bill for all that shit. And the thing is, the United States has already made huge improvements in our ecological footprint. China and India right now are the two biggest polluters on the planet.
Yep.
And I don't see us asking them. Matter of fact, that little environmental thing that we're in with them, we're footing the bill for that, and they're not doing it. They're keeping on, and we're footing the bill and taking care of our shit. And we're the only country in the world that pollutes on that level that has. We have made people don't understand. We have made leaps and bounds. The air in the United States is cleaner than it's been in fucking 150 to 200 years. China and India are the main people still polluting the fuck out of everything.
Yep.
And we're paying for them to make changes, and they're just putting that money somewhere else. They're not making changes. And so why are we the ones still under the gun to get this done? Why are we going to tax our people for the next 30 generations with this carbon tax and green tax? I mean, and anybody that thinks a carbon tax if anybody thinks that a tax on whether or not you're fucking alive and breathing and converting oxygen to carbon monoxide and leaving a carbon footprint has anything to do with any of it, you're stupid. You have drank the Kool-Aid. You have drank the Kool-Aid. You've drank the Kool-Aid. If you think a carbon tax is going to save everything, and this green plan, which funny enough is ignorant.
Dude, everything they're doing right now just seems to be ignorant. But
right.
I want to go into a different subject real quick because I was getting pestered by a mutual friend of ours, JP, about this stuff had just dropped and he was really into it, but he's getting frustrated because he can't talk to me about it because you know how we are. We don't want to hear the music. Right. So, but
no spoilers.
I caved in and bought the album. In fact, I got a couple coming.
Cool.
There's a whole lot of new music coming out from artists that we like.
What's up, Frankie?
I just downloaded the Monte Carlo album from Struggle Jennings, which is the one that JP told me to get on.
Nice.
There's the stuff from the Pioneer album from Upchurch. He's got another one coming. Jelly Roll drops Whitsett Chapel today. It came out. Now I pre-ordered that, so I'm waiting for my physical copy of that, which I'm looking forward to. And there just seems to be, this is like the season for music to come out. Is there anybody you're hoping to hear from album wise that maybe isn't on that list? Or?
Oh gosh. Y'all know, and I'm gonna corner you up one day. I don't know how you've seen our channel do reactions for him. I love him. I don't know how many you've ever done, but Leo Maraccioli.
Mm-hmm.
Every Friday for years, everybody talks about who's the hardest working guy in music. That dude has dropped a video every Friday for a decade, and he's so good at what he does. I would like for us to do one of his on here one day, but anytime he's got something new, I'm excited. But to be honest, I know that I'm ready for more Tom. I'm ready for more Akal, Mises. I've recently jumped back on the Extreme bandwagon with a couple of the reactions we've done. I'm waiting for more of them.
Nice.
There's a lot of bands that I would be really like if I heard Godsmack, or if I heard a lot of different bands was coming out with something new, I'd probably want to check it out. So I like a lot of different stuff, but right now, like you, probably the one I'm the most excited about, even though she's not typically in my wheelhouse, but the Dolly Parton rock album, we've talked about this.
Absolutely.
I am super fucking stoked for that album, especially after we did the list. And for those that, since I caught so much grief from the guy, the lead singer of REO Speedwagon, when we didn't recognize his name, I'm sorry. I had a brain fart. I know who that is. Madam. I just had a brain fart.
There we go. You got to listen to the new Pioneer album by Upchurch. There's a lot of good songs.
We got to react to some of it first, Chad.
Yep. That's the issue right now is when an album drops, we wait to see if there's anything that's going to have videos right away, because those ones we know we can react to. You don't want to react to something where maybe they're going to do a video for it and you jumped on it too quick and then you get into copyright strike area and stuff. So,
and then sometimes, like when you deal with Tom, you got to be careful with his albums, because he makes videos for what he wants to, and then he doesn't want you reacting to anything else on the album. That's what people that buy the album, that's their gift for buying the album. They get the extra shit, and they don't. He kind of frowns on you reacting to those, because those are reserved for the people that, a little something extra for the people that pay for the album, and I get that. You don't want to put all your shit out, because these days it's too easy to get shit free. But I said,
and the other one, Wilson Phillips.
Go back and watch.
Yes,
I went back and watched.
Well, and I've been enjoying lately, because I still find stuff to listen to on YouTube, but I've been watching a lot of freestyles lately, and I love some of the freestyles. Maybe at some point in time we maybe do some stuff in some freestyle avenues, like some Harry Mack or
dude, or how much we love Harry Mack on our channel, so I'm down with that.
There's some unreleased, it was previously unreleased stuff they've been releasing lately from Juice World with freestyles, and he was doing the
So,
stuff
Martin,
like straight off the top of his head. So that's
right?
like really dope. I think that'd be fun. The other thing, when we first started this idea for the podcast, we talked about touching on social issues and all this other stuff. But I think you and I both kind of realized that we don't mind touching on social issues. We just don't want to get into the politics of any of it.
Right.
So,
And you and I are the kind of guys, we're looking out for our family and stuff, and we spend a certain amount of time being frustrated with that shit already.
yep.
And it's like, and so do a lot of people. And we've both talked about this. People, when they come to be entertained,
Hey, Mark.
they come to get away from a lot of that shit. So we try to do that on my channel too, even when we do Tom. And Tom rattles some particular cages and gets us talking sometimes. But I try not to go overboard because I'm like, I don't want to bring too much of that because, people, when they want to be entertained, they like a little break from that shit. That's why, So, yeah. And you and I specifically have been really upset with some things as of late. And, it's like, let's not bring it here. Let's have a better time than that.
I think we can all agree that in 2023, shit is just effed up. That's how it is. That's just how it is. 2023 is just effed up. But there's a lot of other things that are coming up that we could be talking about too. Like we got sports coming up. We're ready.
Football season's coming. Yeah,
football coming, both college and pro. So we got people we're watching.
The NBA finals are going on. Like,
hey,
I care.
Look! Didn't I tell you? It might happen? You and I talked about it before. Dallas ended up bringing Zeke back in on a lower contract.
Oh, they did.
Yep,
they did bring him back.
Yep, on a lower contract, and that by doing that, it freed up a ton of cap space.
Right.
So now, like I was watching during the draft, going where I don't see anything, like woohoo. But now we got some extra money, and so we're gonna see where we spend that now. And so I'm looking forward to that.
For the first time in a long time, the Saints are actually okay with their cap, and one thing they got see, the Saints were one of the oldest teams in the NFL, and we're injury bitten for the past couple of years. We got younger this year. We got some cap space back. And one particular point of contestation is we got Jamal Williams, and then we drafted this Kamara clone, only that's bigger, faster, and stronger, I think, and has just as good a hands and just as good running ability. And everybody's like, and he come in and he had, people call it cocky. There's a difference between cocky and confident. He came in, he didn't say, I am the best running back in the NFL. He said, I want to be the best running back in the NFL. You can't fault a rookie for saying that. And a lot of people are hating on him. And I'm like, look, let's be real. Kamara is probably going to serve a lengthy suspension if he's not put in jail. And I hate to say it, a lot of Saints fans are going to hate me for this, but I go back. I don't just watch games, and I don't just watch stats. I go back and rewatch the game film over and over and over. And to be honest with you, Kamara has not run inspired for us in about two years. And everybody was like, well, last year, he's such a big receiving threat and the quarterbacks would never throw to him. It's because he dropped every fucking thing they threw his way. He didn't want it. He's not the same player. And I am the first to say I was a huge Kamara fan. I liked how he embraced the city. I liked how he would walk home from practice so he could walk among the citizens in New Orleans. But he went and got in some trouble. As soon as I'm bragging about him about not being that guy, he went and got in trouble. And he just quite simply has not ran inspired. And so, yeah, we've gotten younger and we got two cheaper alternatives on the team right now that might just take his fucking job. And as big a fan as I was of Kamara, that's the business, man. Somebody can come take your job for cheaper. It's going to happen because it's going to free up more cap space for other stuff.
Yep, I don't know. I'm over here clicking buttons and stuff, trying to figure something out. We'll figure that out after the fact. I'm about to bumble everything. One thing I am looking forward to is I'm looking forward to the racing season because we have, when the racing season starts out here, we have a dirt track out here. And I want to take my wife and my son out there.
We got dirt tracks around here also.
Yeah, I want to take
And
him
that to
out.
me is that's so much. I mean, I'm not hating on NASCAR. I watch NASCAR sometimes. I like watching Formula One cars because I like watching them. They driving just as fast, if not faster than NASCAR, and they jinking and jiving. They're not just driving in a circle. And I'm not taking away from NASCAR at all. I'm not. But them Formula One guys are really fucking doing some driving. And I love watching the dirt tracks, the rally car. I like all forms of racing. I do like NASCAR. It's not my favorite. And I'm not knocking anybody that does, but you're right. It is race season, and around here that means not only the dirt tracks, but the mud bogs is fixing to open up.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff is coming around. It's even getting Baja season, which
Yep.
those motherfuckers are crazy. I like watching them too.
Well, we're getting to the point out here. We have a place called Hollister Hills Recreational Area out here. It's a pretty big. Like people come from like all over the place to go back there. And I've been noticing more and more trucks going through town with trailers full of quads and dirt bikes and and some of the bigger Polaris vehicles and stuff. Man, they are back there in force. So I know the season's coming. It's cool right now because it's still not that dry out here yet because the weather's been cool. But once it gets like real dry, I hope we don't have any fires back there from the people running around with the off-road vehicles. It happens. There's a Cal Fire
Shannon
out there. So
Shannon, forgive me. My comments were absolutely aimed at you because I know that you're a resident NASCAR fan in the house, and I'm fucking with you a little bit, little trash talk. I'm just playing, brother. I'm just playing. I'm not hating on NASCAR.
So no, but I'm looking forward to that. You got stuff for your kids going this summer?
Yes. I'm actually I'm in the market for myself another horn because my daughter, as many know, as a freshman took second chair, and if she'd actually practiced more, probably would have took first chair, and which is very hard for a freshman. And I want to play. I mean, because she also picked up bass like me and stuff like that, and I'm trying to beef up my guitar chops because I want to play some duets with her on bass and guitar, and I want to play some trombone duets with her. Now, as far as my other daughter, she'll be starting college in the fall, and it's really just about whatever we do, just spending some of that time before she ain't got time. I mean, luckily she is going to a local college here and won't be far, but she's not gonna have time for daddy. So whatever I can do to spend that little extra time and everything before she goes, because I'm not ready for my daughters to leave the nest. I love my daughters. They saved my life, so I'm not ready for them to leave yet.
Mine has
we're gonna go to the river some, try to do some stuff.
My son's graduation is this coming Friday, and it's early. Thank God it's early. So we can go do that stuff, get it out of the way, bring him home, party.
It was hot as fuck at our daughter's graduation.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I know.
And for the first time, like ever, they had to have it outside because that local college is right close to their high school, and they usually do it there every year. But somehow it got double booked or whatever, and it had to be outside, and it was just fucking hot, especially for those of us. You don't want to just show up in shorts and tattered clothes to your kid's graduation. So people that tried to look decent, we were sitting there baking, man. I mean, I got home and was wringing out my shirts and everything. It was so hot. So
dude,
glad yours is early.
I can't wait to go see what everybody's dressed like because, a lot of the kids are rednecks. Like they studied ag in high school, right? And they all live on farms and shit. So it's like you can see each year which ones graduated by which trucks are missing out of the student parking lot the next year. Oh, the guy with the big old C10's gone. Okay, cool.
That's funny. Out your way, I would have said it probably would have been a lot of fucking drag queens and
oh God, no, not in our city, thank God. Thank God. Listen, I mean, it's dude, I don't even get me started. You don't need a month for anything. Can we at least have a month of just not fucking honoring any weirdos?
Right.
I need a month that's just like no celebration at all. Right. Nothing. I don't care about I know it's National Donut Day, but I ain't got a donut, so I could care less about Donut Day or anything else.
I I get that I'm white, so we can't have a month because that's racist. Everybody else can have a month, but white folks because that's racist. But my people came here as slaves too, and I think we deserve a month. I'm Irish and Scottish and Native American, and the Native Americans were treated even worse. Where's
Oof,
my month? Where's my motherfucking
right,
month? You know,
bro.
I'll take a weekend. I ain't got to have a fucking month.
I
Can
was
I not be
telling
proud?
my wife, like we talked a long time ago. We were talking about disconnecting from things, right?
Right,
And if I didn't have to see any social media posts ever again, I would be so happy. I would be so happy. Like I don't care. Like, everything on Twitter, everything on Instagram, everything on all that is all that. I could care less. Don't
right,
feed me anymore. I don't need you to feed me what you
right,
think I should be programmed to see on my phone with these sleazy companies doing this.
right,
But we did this thing where we put our phones away for like a few days, and we just like no phones, no computer,
yep,
no TV, even like it was just like chill, right? And in the first day, dude, we cleaned our whole house better than it had been cleaned in like 2 years.
right,
Right? And,
right,
and then like my wife handmade a cover for my Marshall lamp, right? So at the end of like an 8 hour day, we got all that accomplished. Can you imagine how much more I could get accomplished in my life if I wasn't being
all
bombarded,
right.
just like all of us,
You
we're
know,
being bombarded from one side or the other about some story about this or that to
right. You know,
trigger us.
my daughters got picked on a little bit in school because they were some of the
Mhm.
last kids to get cell phones, and my wife didn't want them to have cell phones to
Right,
graduate
Shannon?
because of there's studies showing, and we've seen it with our kids. You want to destroy my youngest daughter? Tell her you're gonna take her phone. She starts hyperventilating. But what I'm getting to is they got so, and we've always been tight with our daughters, of course. And I'm the one that felt bad because all their little friends was picking on them because they didn't have cell phones. So I, against my wife's better judgment, I made the decision to go ahead and get them cell phones. And then it was like we lost all contact with our daughters for a while. And I came in and I said, look, for the next month, here, give me those phones.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, wow, I got my daughters back. The lost art of conversation, man. There's a buddy of mine down the road. It's so funny.
Giggity, Dan.
A lot of people think he's a cocky asshole because he's a guitar player and he has some of that in him. But if you come to hang out with him and he catches you just sitting there on your phone, he'll throw you out. Why come to my house to sit on
Right?
your phone? You could have done that. You could have. Why come to see me to sit on your phone? You could have done that
This
at
is
your house.
true, man. I mean, why people don't socialize? They sit in a room. I mean, we've all seen it. Three people sitting in a room. Everybody's watching their phone, or two are watching their phone, and one's watching this or doing so. Like nobody pays attention to anybody anymore. They don't
Mm-mm.
talk to each other. And then this drives me nuts. Okay, this drives me nuts because my wife knows it's driving me nuts, so it's not
What's up,
news
Dan?
to her, right? But here you go. At the end of the night, I like to go in, right? Computers off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids in bed. I like to go in. I'm usually stoned, so I go in, bring some munchies in. I'm gonna put the TV on. We're gonna watch a couple of things of like diners, drive-ins, and dives, or Man
Mm-hmm.
versus
Hell
Food,
yeah,
or,
that's
or
my
we're gonna
show.
watch the rodeo or whatever it is, right? We're gonna watch some TV for a few, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then we're gonna get ready and go to bed. And we sit there and do this whole thing the whole time, and it's like, all right, here's the meds. You take your meds, I'm taking my meds, lights off, going to bed. And
Right,
as soon as I do, then my wife wants to talk to me. I'm like, why? You could have put your phone down and talked to me this whole time.
right. Been here the whole time. Been here the whole time. Um,
Right?
we
Oh,
try
Lord.
to, we try to find that happy balance here. When our girls got their phones back, we still like when they come in from school, everybody puts their shit away and we talk about everybody's day.
Yep.
Um, that's another one of those reasons why I want to start doing some of these duets and stuff with my younger daughter, who's also a musician. My oldest daughter is also a musician. She didn't do it in band, but she's also a talented musician. Um, but what's funny is since she has been, as you've heard me say before, working with me
Uh-huh.
up at work after school every day, I've been getting a couple of good hours with her every day while we work to talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she is probably fixing to take another job because she's graduated now, and she can work some full-time hours. So she's got a couple other jobs lined up. My
Shannon.
younger one can't drive, so she can't come after school. But as you know, I work by myself on Fridays, so she's going to start coming in with me on Fridays to help me since I'm up there by myself. So I'm looking forward to some of that bond time with her also. But we try to because between both of our reaction shows, this podcast, and live streams, we spend a good amount of time on social media, and we sit here as much as we can say that nobody talks anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a people person that has gotten disgusted with people. I don't like anybody around here.
Yep.
For me, it's almost weird because I have to come on here to find other people that I can tolerate talking to, because the world has gotten overpopulated with stupid fucking people.
My wife and I used to.
I don't have patience for that.
My wife and I used to sit in the living room, and we would put on a TV show or whatever, right? And we would talk about, we would laugh about it. In the middle of it, she'd say, "You want something to eat?" And she'd get up and go grab something to eat and come back real quick. And we spent time together and talked. And now it's like, it just seems like people are just in the same room with each other.
Right.
So, one thing I like to do every day with my kid when he comes home, you mentioned checking in. You'd come home, put your stuff away, check in. My kid comes home from school every day. I ask him how school was. He tells me what he ate at school, tells me all that stuff. Then he goes in. It's just part of that thing. I was just raised that way.
Right. And what's funny is, cheers. My oldest daughter, being a lot like me, early on, she played ball, and she was good at it. And then my younger one saw how that was helping us bond, and she wanted to play ball. And she wasn't as interested in playing ball. She just wanted something for us to communicate about. So when she joined band now and is becoming a full-blown musician, she has really stepped into my world. And that gives us, every day she comes home, she's telling me about band. Like she was so excited to come home and tell me what their theme for next year's halftime show is going to be. And I can't wait. It's got a theme of taking flight. And they're going to close the show with some Lenny Kravitz, which, these bands have to take these songs to contest, and the judges at contests don't often like rock and shit like that. They want artistic music. And I think the first time our school ever got an all superior rating on a rock rap show was my junior year. And we didn't try to duplicate it. We're like, okay, we got it. Let's not push our luck. But next year they usually do patriotic stuff. And I hate to say it, but we got a new administration up there that's not down with them doing patriotic shit. That school, I moved down here so my daughters could go to that school because I went to that school. And now all of a sudden we don't want y'all doing patriotic shit. So this year they did a patriotic show, but it was hidden. It wasn't just an in-your-face patriotic show. They hid it inside the show. And there's key moments where anybody that ever gave a damn about this country get it. And they're like, oh, ha, 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 ha.
Yep.
Well, next year they're doing this whole take flight thing. And to be honest, I can't wait. I wish I could remember some of the other songs that's on their little set list, but they're closing the show out with Lenny Kravitz. And I went to college. The guy that's arranging all their music for them was my roommate in college, and I know he's a remarkably talented arranger. So I absolutely cannot wait to hear what that product. So between my daughters, now we actually have all these things in common that gives us something to shoot the shit about when they get in. And then usually after the daughters and all that, I have to go take care of my mama. So I go chat with her, check in on her. And then when I get home, it's mine and my wife's time. So
one of the things for me is I hear parents a lot of times talking about, they feel like they're so out of touch with their kids. They lost touch with their kids, and don't think that can't be fixed.
Right.
It may not be easy. It may not be
kick
easy.
The fucking door in.
It may not be easy, but that can be fixed, because it is so important that we're checking in on our kids and they're checking in on us, like, checking in with us. Like, you don't ever want to be the one who finds out by some stupid incident or horrific incident that something was wrong,
Right.
So,
but the thing is, parents that say they've lost touch with their kids, they can blame social media, they can blame phones, and there is a real thing about cell phones and addiction. I get all that. However, if you've completely lost touch with your child, that's not just coming from their end. that means you're too busy doing something else too.
Yep.
Because your kid's natural inclination, even with the technology of today, and I learned this from my daughters, is believe it or not, they want to talk to you.
Yep.
They want to. And if they see you be disinterested, well, it's just easy for them to go get back in their phone, and before you know it, the night's over and y'all haven't spoken. But if you've really lost touch with your kids, that's as much, I feel, on the parent as the
Yep.
child.
Yep.
You can put some shit down too and make some time for your kids.
Yep. And you can get that. You can get a connection again. It's hard at times. Like I was a kid, I know what it was like. Sometimes I just didn't want them around. I didn't want to be around. Just leave me
Right.
alone. I just want to go do my thing. Right. I don't need to
Right.
be bugged by you guys. And so, I've lived through that. But at the same time, it's like my grandma never stopped trying to talk to me either. She wasn't
Right.
just going to let me be. In fact, she continued to nag me.
Yeah.
Right. Like she used to come into my room in the middle of the night and look at me while I'm sitting on the bed, probably jacked up on 2 or 3 different things as a teenager at that point in time, right? Being a wreck. And I'm like sitting there at like 1:30 in the morning watching like Late Night with David Letterman. Right. And my grandma would come in and look and go, Jesus, it is your room that smells that bad. I go, I was smoking. And she goes, it doesn't smell like smoke. Yep. And then she would walk away, but she was still checking in on me,
Yeah.
So,
and I'm as guilty as anybody in getting wrapped up in shit. And, but as a parent, sometimes if you're trying, especially for me, like a lot of people give me grief because they know how hard I work at my job and how many hours I spend at my job versus what I get paid. And they're like, you're stupid. And I'm like, and then they try to tell me, you need this job, you need this job. I'm like, look, that'll require me to travel. They're like, yeah, but it's great money. I'm like, I have contacts. I could still go and make 5 times that doing what I love, which is playing music. But I decided to walk away from all that because my wife, her parents were never there. My mother was there and my father was there, but he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided, look, we might struggle a little bit, but especially in this world that they're growing up in today, I felt it was more beneficial for my family for me to be home every day.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I work my ass off at a job that's probably beneath me and everything, but it keeps me home and it keeps me around. And it's like I said, it's just that, once they're off living their best life, doing whatever it is they want to do, yeah, I'll worry about that then. But it was worth more to me. And Jocelyn too, I think, because like I said, my mother always tried to be there for me, but my dad was an ass and her parents were asses, and I was like, I'm not going to be. It does me, and especially in this world, it does me no good to only see them every 3 months. I might as well be an absentee father. I just felt like it. And they ask me all the time, why are you doing this? And I don't want to make them feel guilty and say, for you, so I can be here. But that's behind the scene of things. That's why. Yep. It's a job that keeps me at home. I'm not gone all the time.
Yeah.
Because especially, like I said, in this world that they're growing up in today, because like, here's an argument that got made a while back, and I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
People were saying wrestling was turning kids into violent, this, that, and the other, watching professional wrestling. I watched professional wrestling my whole life, and I never turned out that way. You know why? Because I had at least one parent that would explain to me, hey, that's not real. That's not acceptable. That's blah, blah, blah. Same here. A lot of kids, a lot of parents these days get wrapped up in their own shit, and they let the cell phones and TVs raise their kids.
Yep.
And then wonder why they can't connect with them and why they don't understand or why, whatever. So like I said, it means more to me to be here for them on a day-to-day basis, whether they need me or not, whether they want to talk to me or not.
Right.
I'm here. Yep. I'm here. And I think that makes a difference. Like I said, we got our one daughter graduated salutatorian and the other one's on her way to trying to be valedictorian. And you look at me and my wife and you're like, how in the world did those 2 kids come from us? It's because we just made a conscious effort to be there. And sometimes your kid don't want to be bothered, but you know what? As a parent, you can't always be the friend. Sometimes you got to bother them. You got to kick the door in and be like, "What's going on in your life?
Yep.
You know, what's
Yep.
happening?"
This
You know,
is true. I don't know, man. I'm just glad. Like my kid has 4 more years of school, and then after that, he and I are gonna spend every day together. Like that's it, because he's not gonna work. You know, my son's not. He's disabled, and that won't be what he does. But he and I are gonna spend every day together, and I can pretty much tell you by the time that he graduates from that program and is no longer on school, I'm not gonna be online nearly as much. Because I want to do something with him so that he doesn't spend all day sitting in his bedroom staring at a tablet watching YouTube videos.
Right.
You know, so.
You know what? One thing that's been funny for me is I grew up on a working horse ranch in the woods. My girls took an interest in horses early, but we're poor now, and all my mom's horses died off of old age. They were pets and finally all died off. And I simply haven't been able to afford horses. And, you know, we haven't gotten to do a whole lot of the fishing and stuff like that because that's also expensive and I'm broke. But I'm here every day. And it don't matter if we talk about, like, what I'm getting to is here recently, especially my younger one, has taken this interest in wanting to be out in the woods and hiking and walking every day. And there's been 3 days in the past week, I get home from work and I feel like I've had my ass kicked. But my daughter's like, "Hey, you want to go walk through the woods with me?" And I'm like, "Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go." And inside
Okay.
I'm dying because I'm dying, but I'm not going to tell her no.
You just said something and it triggered something in my. You said, "What's cooler?" Okay. I was thinking
Permits,
we were
poles, boat, bait.
looking at topics earlier
Can be
before you
expensive.
right before you got on, and we were looking at topics, right?
Right.
One of the ideas, it was like random topics being thrown out: knives, this, that, things we could talk about. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this: I know the things you collect,
Right.
you know the things I collect.
Right.
What's cooler, a collection of bases or a collection of knives?
You're asking now. See, that's a fucked up question for me, man.
Uh,
Everybody knows I'm a blade guy, and what's funny is as many blades as I have currently in my possession, it's not even a quarter of what I once. I lost so much stuff moving so many times. But a collection of bases, the collection of bases depends because right now I don't get to play a lot. If I was still actively playing, the collection of bases would be it. And I still would love to have a bunch,
The
but
reason why I ask is because I'm a guitar guy, but I have basses because I play bass too. But I'm trying to think what's cooler,
right,
to
Ted?
build a collection of 50 fucking insane guitars, or to have a collection of 50 insane handcrafted knives and swords.
Well,
Like,
what's funny is my daughters got into blades and instruments too, so that's still a double pardon the pun, a double-edged sword for me.
yep.
And of course, my daughter's playing bass, and my oldest daughter, she can play some guitar and piano, and funny enough, can play the fuck out of a ukulele. I never thought I would hear a ukulele played like that. But man, if I was to win the lottery, I would create a family business, and I would rope my children into it so we could remain a tight knit family, and at least till I die. Then they can do whatever the fuck they want. But I would right now, dude, if I had a collection of basses and instruments, all I have left is my bass. I have a guitar, an old beat up trombone. But if I had the instrumentation, oh, we'd do a family band in a heartbeat.
Right.
In a heartbeat.
For me, I've owned so many guitars in my life that there are very few that have that, like, I can't let go of them.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about, because we've
Mhm.
had some really, dude. I had a Music Man 4-string double hum, the Flea one,
This hurts my feelings, Kenny,
right?
when you tell
And
this story.
I had that, and it was the best bass I've ever owned, and I sold it to to get, along with some other things, to buy a guitar that is a once in a lifetime guitar to own. I'll never find that guitar again, and it was worth it. But at the same time, I miss that bass every time I play a bass. So part of me would go bass, right? But at the same time, like, there's more of those out there.
I had a 6-string Spectre that I called the Nightmare. Everybody, my red bass back here that everybody sees is the Bloody Bone bass, and I will never sell that bass. It doesn't matter, because my brother Drake, and a lot of y'all know my story with him. He helped me get that in a music store that he was working at, and I played on the road for years with him with that bass. It has sentimental value. It's not going anywhere. Now, that 6-string Spectre in every way was a superior bass, superior quality, superior build, superior sound, superior everything. And we got in a bind one time, as happens, and I sold that bitch so we could go buy groceries. Now, if it comes down to that bass, we're going to go hungry because of the sentimental value that bass has. It's not, and in fact, and plus my daughter plays that bass now. So.
And there is that too. Same thing though with like a knife or whatever it is you collect. So I know people that collect guns, people that collect, cameras, whatever it is they collect. Right? There is that one that for no reason other than it is that one, it feels better than things that are 10 times its price. Right. And so while everybody else would ask you, like, what's your attachment to this knife or to this, whatever it is, they would ask you, what's your attachment to this? It's like, because it's that perfect in my hand.
Right.
Okay.
Funny enough, this bass here, because even though Drake helped me get it, and you've heard my situation, I had to learn bass in essentially 4 days. I was already a musician, but I had to teach a new set of tools. I had to learn bass in less than a week, and it's a PV Fury, which is a low end PV.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you what, it has a single 9-volt battery active pickup. That Spectre had 2. It was 18 volt and didn't produce the signal this one does. Yep. Most every other PV Fury I've ever put in my hands, I would throw in a fire like firewood.
Yep.
But this particular one has been the most comfortable, most durable, best sounding, most versatile bass I've ever owned. And I don't know if it's the magic, because you heard me say one time I had this bass worked on and the guy fucked it up and it was unplayable until we went to do that tribute gig after he died, and all of a sudden it's played perfect ever since.
Yep.
All right, bass and most PV Furies, like I said, I would throw in the trash. But there's something, I don't know if it's the magic of my brother. I don't know what it is, but that is probably the best bass as far as like using it, actually getting out and playing gigs with it and it doing its job, being comfortable to play, being comfortable to wear, producing an excellent tone, doing everything I ask of it, and surviving a road schedule for 15 years. That's been the best bass I've ever had, and it should be a piece of trash.
Go back out here. Yeah, Gooba 69. Yeah, what
moccasin season
is it?
Gooba
out here. It's wild pigs out here in Cali.
Yeah, wild pigs and water moccasins here in Mississippi.
Yeah. Right. But yeah. So here's an interesting one. This is a flip, right? Because you and I are both musicians, right? If you had to choose between these two options, you could pick any 2 basses and any 10 amps, or any 10 amps and only 2 only any 10 basses and only 2 amps. Which would you pick?
For the amps or basses?
No. Would you go with the option of having
10 basses and 2
amps? 10 basses and 2 amps, or 2 basses and 10 amps?
Considering the amps that I have, I'm gonna have to go with the basses. Again, I got that. Look, and I've told you this. I used to run 1,000 watts, and I had an 810 cabinet and an 18 cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a carving rig. It's a 1,200 watt 3EQ fucking power amp, and the cabinet is a 410 with the neodymium drivers. That thing will liquefy rigs 10 times its size. So I've got my amp. So I would probably take the basses.
I would go, if I was doing guitars and amps, it would be 10 amps and 2 guitars. Because you give me a Les Paul and a Strat, and I can cover just about everything.
Right.
Right. But there is a very big difference between the sound of a Fender Twin Reverb
Right.
and a Marshall Plexi.
Oh, you're right.
And all, so like, to me, my trouble is not buying guitars. My trouble is buying amps, because I don't really know if I like them until I get them home and plug everything into
Right.
it.
I mean, and for a guitar player and some bass players too, you get into that conversation whether you want tube amps or you want solid state. You get into there's a lot of different things.
Dude,
Now,
it's
funny
all
enough,
food for me.
it's rare. It's rare, and I think some of this comes because I was a sound engineer for so long.
Yep.
It's rare that I use processors because I know how to mix and get the sound. I like my signature sound out of a straight cab. I don't have to add a lot of shit to it. Matter of fact, my processor usually just acts as a tuner. However, I've been very lucky in the fact that the 2 rigs that I have run, the old one and this one, have allotted me to do that. Now, it depends. Now, if you were to give me a 5-string Stingray dual hum Music Man and a Spectre 5-string, and then told me I could have 10 amps, that might be different because I would want to try them. Because Hardkey gear is great for bass, and then you got Ampeg, you got Mesa Boogie. I mean,
I don't think there's any difference between musicians and car guys. It's just what we buy, because we geek out just as bad on them, right? Like we really do. Like I'm the kind of guy that the first thing I do is figure out what parts I can trash, right? When I get the guitar, I'm like, I'm gonna change the keys. I'm changing these strap buttons on it. I want strap locks on it. These strings gotta go. The first thing you do when you buy an instrument off the wall is cut the strings off of it, right? Put your own on it. And it's just
because there's only one kind of string I use.
But you don't do that with a car. Like, you don't drive into the dealership and go, I'm going to change the tires day one because I don't fucking stab these tires, put some other ones on for me,
Right. When you buy a car, even if you're going to customize it, that's a thing that usually kind of happens over time. No, you're right. If you buy a bass or a guitar or something, first thing first, the strings that are on it
must go.
It must go. So I can see that. Now, I'm very funny in the fact that any instrument I've ever bought, I am not one for ordering. I'm in the world now where I'm going to have to, because there's not very many music stores open anymore because everything's online. But the thing is, I have a problem with ordering instruments online, because all right, this as well as I do. A Strat has a distinctive sound. A Tele has a distinctive sound. Paul Reed Smith has a distinctive sound. A Gibson has a distinctive sound. But say you're going to a store that sells exclusively Strats. You can play 10 different Strats, and even if they're made same year, same model, same place, same everything, every one of them is going to have a little bit different feel, a little bit different action, a little bit different sound. So it's hard for me. I can't. This day and age of ordering instruments online is weird for me, because I like to put my hands on it and hear it before I buy it, and feel it.
In a way, it's the same thing though. For if you're really going to invest in a knife or a gun, same thing, right?
True.
You want, even with cars, you want to go out and drive them. Although I don't know I don't know too many people that go to the dealership and go, let me drive all 3 of these black Mustang convertibles, right?
Right.
But we will do that at the music store.
We sure will.
And we will grab every one of the guns and can I just want to feel the trigger on that one real quick.
Right.
Can I, and that's how we are. Or the knife. It's like,
last time I was buying a bass, I was in the market for a BTB 505. It's an Ibanez bass. And I sat down in that store, which this particular store only actually sold Ibanez and or Fender gear. So when I went over there to the wall, there's like 100 bass. There's like 100 Ibanez basses, And at the time, the BTB line was the hot deal. So I look over here, and the BTB 505 is the 5-string model, and there's a BTB model that's a little higher end because it uses gold. I mean, it uses gold in the metals and the pegs and stuff, and then and blah 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 blah. I don't mind chrome, or it may have a maple fretboard as opposed to rosewood. But I sat there and played every BTB 505 on the wall. And the funny thing is, the one that I really liked was this natural grain that was stained and gray. It was a gorgeous bass.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that I thought felt and played the best was this pink glitter.
Oh, geez.
Same model bass.
Yeah.
But it was pink glitter. And I was like, why does that have to be the one that I think feels and sounds the best? Why can't it be that gray one over there? And they're the same model, built in the same place, on the same line, by the same people. But there are little minute differences. There just are.
Yep.
And being a brass player, that's also the case. You might play a con, you might play 37 of the same cons and get 37 different sounds.
It's funny because on a clarinet, I don't think we were nearly as sensitive to them as brass players are to all of the different. It's like you're looking for a comfortable mouthpiece. You're probably throwing the factory one away, and there's different types of cork systems, different types of materials for keys. But other than that, it's not as like you just make a run and the run sounds great, or it doesn't. Right. And I know with brass, you guys feel a lot more of the nuances as you're playing and hear them, and so
the funny thing is, when it comes to brass instruments, like 9 times out of 10, unlike most people, the one that draws my eye the most, like if I go into a pawn shop, or if I see them used online or whatever like that, and I'm not talking about dents and bends and damage, but the ones that look the ruddiest, like where the lacquer and everything is worn off, those always catch my attention, because usually a funny thing is, and a lot of professional jazz players and horn players figured this out, the metal resonates better without that coat of lacquer on it. Matter of fact, Wynton Marsalis, he went to Monet and they made him like 10 custom trumpets. And they didn't lacquer any of them. They look like shit. If you see him playing on stage, it looks like a motherfucker he just pulled out of the garbage can. But it sounds better because the lacquer on it's not hindering the resonance.
I guess we're supposed to be doing some shots over here. Oh, Lord. While we wait for him to get his ready, I have to inspect this new tiny device over here that you can't see.
And of course, as far as instruments go, a particular brand has caught my attention lately on brass, on guitars, bass, everything. Cheers. You've heard me talk about my brother Drake and what a killer guitar player he was. At one time, he had every guitar you could imagine, and he would carry 10 guitars with him on stage and pedals and all this kind of bullshit. And he found this one Yamaha, and we called it the Purple People Eater. And with minor adjustments, he could get every sound he needed, so he didn't have to carry 10 guitars on stage. I have found not only in it because they make everything from basses. Matter of fact, the last 2 basses that I've put my hand on that I actually almost sold a kidney to walk out with were Yamaha. Mm-hmm. Same with brass instruments and band instruments like that. I have noticed that they are just making quality.
I'll throw this out here.
Instruments. They may not be the prettiest and fanciest, but they're workhorses.
For years, I worked in the industry selling guitars and making them and all this other stuff. And Yamaha for guitars and Yamaha for pro audio, Yamaha for drums, Yamaha for basses. They make some incredibly high quality stuff.
Right.
What people don't realize about Yamaha is Yamaha's a Japanese based company. They put more pride into their products than say do the ones being mass produced in China.
Right.
And so you see the quality difference in it.
Well, that's part of their culture. They feel like if they put out an inferior product, that means that they put forth an inferior effort. And if they put forth an inferior effort, that shines badly on them with their family and their society. So funny enough, like the last it's the first one I've ever touched. The big rage now is the ergonomic frets, the slanted frets. They call them not fanned frets. What do they call that shit? Anyway.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I've been saying for years, no, fuck that. I don't want that. But when we were in Pigeon Forge, not the last time we were in Pigeon Forge, but the time before that, COVID was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nobody in that music store. And of course, the dude pretty much made me scrub up like a surgeon before I touched it and after. But I didn't want to put that thing down. And I didn't have any money for it. And I was like, I told my wife, I said, I'll tell you what, I want you to go over there and knock something over on that shelf. And while he's looking at that, I'm thinking to bolt with this motherfucker. But again, it surprised me because I know, like I said, Drake, the most versatile guitar he ever used was a Yamaha. I've played Yamaha horns, but it never ceases to amaze me because in the grand scheme of things, I'm like everybody else. I think Spectre first. I think Ibanez, or I think Music Man. I think these things, and then every once in a while, I put my hands on a Yamaha, and I'm like, you know what?
Isn't that interesting?
This is just as nice for about half the money.
Isn't that interesting how we did the same thing though with music? We thought we didn't like something until we went and checked it out. Like I thought I did not like country at all, and now I listen to a lot of it because of the artists that we've discovered with the reaction stuff over the last few years. But it was something that like normally I wouldn't. If you ask any guitar guy, they're gonna say they'll usually name two brands that they like, right? And I like every one of them. I just don't like all of them. I like one from every one, it seems like, and I can't do that. I can't afford that in life. So, it's just I enjoy the craftsmanship of it. Hey, we had another topic because I heard some random ass wildin' shit earlier of random weird shit you hear.
I'm a magnet.
You ready? I'm gonna bring in my random weird shit that I heard earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hola, ¿cómo estás?
When you're sitting there and like you hear all the chatter in the room, bunch of us in the Discord call or something, all the chatter in the room, but you got your thing and two people are having a conversation about this and you just hear some wild. I just was like sitting there like in the middle of it. I'm shopping for wolf underwear.
Speedos.
And I'm going, no, you just said you were shopping for wolf underwear, and I'm thinking wolf
underwear. I got wolf underwear on the side.
Like wolf wear underwear? Like that's the random thing I heard. So Jesse, what's the one random thing that you've heard that's crazy shit you've heard lately?
It wasn't lately, it was like maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it was my buddy. I called him Squirrel. Because he had like major ADHD, just spaz. You're like, okay, and we're out fishing, and he sits there and he comes up with just a random thought, and he goes, "You think you could stop a bear attack by kicking it in the nuts?"
Damn, dude.
And him and I, for like 20 minutes, got into a fucking argument. Like, I was like, no, dude.
Damn, I've had some friends.
Like, what if you like kick it so hard it smashes the nut? Just like completely busts it, Then they got to feel like we feel. And I was like, no, dude, it's a fucking bear.
They feel rage and want to rip your face off.
And he insisted that if you like kicked it hard enough, that you were going to take a bear down. I'm like, no, you're not.
All right. Well,
my most recent, because I tend to hear a lot of random shit. My most recent one was actually at the workplace. There was this one particular day that a bunch of our field guys, their job dried up for the day, so they came back to the shop to just get their hours and help out in the shop. So since they helped out in the shop, I was free to go do other things that needed done. So, but I walked back through the shop and I hear if you just crack her open and put a fresh nut in her.
What up, Joey?
And I'm like, what? I'm like, well, are they talking about somebody's girlfriend or somebody's wife? But it turned out they were trying to fix a machine, and they were going to rip the panel off the machine and break open the linkage and put a new nut on the bolt to tighten it down so it would quit squeaking. But all I heard was, if you crack her open and put a fresh nut in her. And I was like, what did I just walk into? You know?
Oh, geez. All right. Well, we got another one that we're going to bring in next. You better put your camera back on. I was about to bring you in, fool. There you go. Don't hide. All right. Next. All right. Chad.
What's up, Fox Body?
What's up, guys?
All right.
I'm figuring out this iPad I got today.
Well, your finger is figuring out where the camera is. You ready? Here you go. Tell me some random crazy shit you heard once in a conversation. You just like in passing, you heard that just is the wildest shit you've ever heard.
Me?
Yeah.
What's up, Joy?
When a trans person was pushing it on a bunch of people in a restaurant, it was freaking nuts. It happened probably 2 months ago.
Oh, okay.
It was a big fight amongst like 3 families and this trans person and whoever the fuck she was with.
Damn. Hope was it at a Waffle House?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It was
I've seen some of the best fights in my life in a fucking Waffle House.
I've seen a few myself. But no, it was in Fillets in North Myrtle Beach.
All right, cool.
It's a good restaurant.
Glad you came in and shared that with us. All right. Anybody else want to come in and share some random stuff? Shirt. Let us know. I know. Hey, you're going to be in Discord later where we talk you out of your shirt, okay?
Yep.
Just saying. All right. Here we go.
Drink.
I can't drink.
I can't see you guys.
Well, that's okay. We can't see anymore either.
I mean, I'll have to bring up too, when you first earlier tonight, when you mentioned to me we might do this topic, I mentioned one. I got to share that one too. As I'm walking through my bedroom one night on the way to my bathroom, I hear from the corner of my room, because there are other people using my room at the time. I'm walking to the bathroom and I hear, see, that's how big it is when it's hard. And then that was followed by cacophonous laughter. So somebody got their feelings hurt because apparently it wasn't that big. But, you know, you hear random shit like that all the time. And I
don't know, like my friends did some random shit. Like we were sitting there, everybody was just watching TV. We were all like stoned or drunk or whatever, sitting around watching a movie in the living room or something. And my friend's girlfriend just looks up and goes, "Your phone number spells hunk." And I'm like, "What?" And my old lady looks at her like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, 4865. It spells hunk."
That's funny.
And I'm like, "How the fuck did you even figure that out? You weren't looking at a phone. What the fuck?" But the most random shit I ever heard, still to this day, is the most traumatizing shit that I ever heard. Like, listen, okay, if you're gonna go, if you're gonna have kids, right, and you're gonna be the dude and you're gonna go in there with that shit, right? Them Le Mans movies are bullshit, okay, and I'm gonna tell you why they're bullshit. And maybe if the thing comes out natural, they're all good, but in the Le Mans movie for a C-section, it didn't look nothing like a real C-section. Like, dude, they had all kinds of stuff dripping out. It was like disgusting, right? I was like throwing up in there. And I just remember the one of the anesthesiologist people holding the mask on her face as they were talking to her and stuff, looked at me and said, "Sweetie, you're turning a little green. You might want to go outside." And the last thing I heard as I was walking out the door, because they had her gutted like it was twins, preemies, you know, they yanked them both out and you have to put all that stuff back. And I'm walking out and I hear the doctor go, "You're going to feel a little pressure as we put your uterus back in." And I go, "I didn't want to know that."
Oh my
shit,
God.
dude. I was like, "What the fuck?" And so afterwards, I was like, "I swear to God, I'm never going in. If I can have 100 more kids, that's the only one I was going into. I wasn't doing that shit twice, because that shit's scary, man, dude." That was, yeah.
I think the most random statement that's ever made me laugh the hardest. At one time, I was working for this particular university's performing arts center, and they were having that university's beauty pageant. And 2 years previous, that girl actually went on to win Miss Mississippi and went to Miss America and all that other kind of shit. Well, there was this girl that'd been in the pageant for 4 years. She was a senior. It was her last year. I discovered watching her in warm-ups that she was faking her talent of playing piano. What she did was she played this real slow piece that was just all single note patterns, and she had numbers. And what she did was she actually wrote the numbers on the keys of the piano. Well, being a stage lighting guy that knows that lighting is everything. I mean, sometimes we would have to be on stage and be invisible, and it's just a matter of leaving a little hole. You won't see it from the crowd, but there'll be a little hole in the light somewhere. So when I went to set her piano, let's say I'm supposed to set it this way. I set it, I'm talking not even an inch off, and she couldn't see her numbers. And she went out there and she bombed her fucking piano performance, and she was blaming us and wanting to protest. Well, anyway, she had been in the pageant the year before and came in like third place. And the thing was, this girl was like Dolly Parton, heavy chested. Well, the year before she had tried tap dancing and apparently leaned over too far, and the weight of her bosom made her fall. Okay, so I'm on stage. I'm in one of those invisible spots because I got some shit I've got to do. Well, anyway, I'm standing there and trying to be invisible. And it's the part of the pageant where they're asking the questions. They're asking them they want to hear their intelligent answer to a question. Yep. Well, they asked her question, and the whole crowd got quiet for her to answer. And out of nowhere, and whoever this dude was had the boomingest voice I've ever heard, but just out of nowhere, it's like, how do you feel about such and such? Hush. Meat! That whole place, there was probably 10,000 people in that place, and the whole place erupted. But it apparently came from the year before because she is heavy chested and she fell. And that shit was fucking hilarious. I'm sorry. I laughed till I cried right there on stage.
If you want to know the funniest shit I ever heard, it was just random. You have to join the Discord because I can't say that on YouTube tonight.
Right.
So I'll tell you the second funniest one, right? Was okay, so I'm in a punk band. We got a studio. It's in this old packing house where it was right next to the train tracks, right? And so this was an old packing house, had refrigerators and all this stuff. Well, they took the refrigerators out and turned all these rooms into little like studios that bands could go in and play in, right? And so we're in there, and we're getting set up, and we got a little stage area and then an area in the middle, and then on the back wall there's a little couch and stuff, and that's kind of our spot with a couple lamps and whatever, you know. And we're getting set up and playing them. Our rhythm guitar player Alex comes in, and he walks on stage, and we're like, "Hey, bro, what's up? You're late." And he goes, "Yeah, man, sorry, man." And then he's sitting there, and he's grabbing his crotch like he has to pee like a racehorse, dude. And I'm like, "Bro, you can go pee if you need to pee, dude." Because he goes, "No, I don't need to pee." I'm like, "Well, what the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, Goo and I decided to do anal before I came over here, and we didn't have any lube, so we used Vicks."
Oh, fuck.
And then that's not the worst part, because we fucking lost our shit on stage over that. We were laughing at our asses off, right? And then his old lady comes in to the studio like 15 minutes later and sits down on the couch, and she's sitting there and she's shifting her butt back and forth like this, dude. And we lost it and had to leave the studio.
Speaking of random, Joy, you win our random comment of the night, because I'm trying to go back and find the context, but just out of nowhere, Joy says small feet because nothing grows in the shade. I could take that a million different ways, but I'm sitting there trying to read the comments, and I'm like, where'd that come from? So, Joy, you win.
Oh, Lord. Yep. Oh, man. Yeah, if you've been in bands, you've heard some random stuff before. Oh, one of the weirdest places I heard something random, though, was in a church. and I'll just leave it at that. It was just, I see y'all ain't the saint family you claim to be. You had him picking up
Dude.
what? Where?
I went to and this has been since I've met. I mean, this has been since I've been married to my wife. But there was a coworker of mine that tried to get me to come to his church because the church that my girls had been going to, the preacher there kind of alienated them about some stuff, and they didn't want to go there anymore. So I was kind of looking for a new place for them to go if they wanted to go. Well, anyway, I went with this friend, and he was the same guy that I think I remember telling y'all that they did the snake handling. And I said, he said, "You don't believe God will protect you?" I'm like, "God gives me enough sense to not put a snake in my face." Well, anyway, we're walking in, and the preacher is shaking everybody's hand and everything. And I hear, "Oh yes, you've got to try it." My husband loves it when I slam him. And I was like, well, there were these two women bragging about using strap-ons on their old men in front of everybody in the congregation. And they were trying to convince this young married woman that if she wanted to keep her husband to fuck him in the butt one good time, that would keep him. And I was like,
dude, I have a wife say that to me after she went to church. I'd be like, we're leaving. I'm like, no, if I have a wife say that to me after we leave church, she wants to put a strap on. I'm like, look, you can stay at that church. I'm going to another one.
Right.
I need some cleansing after that mess you tried to pull.
Right.
Hey, we should do another shot though.
Hey, tonight I brought me a cooler with some ice, so I didn't have to keep getting up.
I ain't trying to get up, man. My back is still jacked up.
Of course, I did just fucking spill some of it somehow. That's alcohol abuse.
Lick it up. Like Kiss said, lick it up.
Nobody wants to see my lick game. I'll turn too many people on.
Strap on backwards is no parts.
Hence the strap on.
Jesus Christ, Joy, listen, you're going to end up in this in here in a minute if you don't stop it. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, God.
Oh, man. Well, tomorrow, what's your plan for the podcast or for your live?
Well, the wife is out of town, so everybody that comes to our live streams know that I'm the one that acts a fool, and she's usually the one that's keeping up with the comments. So tomorrow I am tasked with trying to entertain everyone and keep up with the comments, which I'm probably going to fail miserably at. So it'll probably be fine. My wife, as everyone knows, is my filter. She's my ground. She's my base. So without her there, once the alcohol starts flowing, I'm liable to get ignorant, but I do it in fun because I feel like everybody that comes to see us needs to feel better than they did when they got there. So just some fun. We're going to have some fun on tomorrow night's live stream. I mean, we're talking leg warmers and wax paper and some no parts and maybe if we're lucky, a little bit of meat. So,
Lord. Well, are you going to be on your dart game tomorrow, or are we going to have to find another drinking method?
Oh no, we're going to throw darts and hell, we'll play some other drinking games too. We hadn't done Never Have I Ever in a minute. I wish, man, I would almost, for all the people that hang out in our live streams regularly, if they would play on the honor system, I would buy everybody a set of dice so we could play an online game of 3-man.
Yep. Hell yeah, we can play games.
Joy, my wife will tell you I don't ever act. I'm just this fucked up all the
time. But yeah. So it was good having this conversation tonight. We're about ready to wind it down here.
Tonight was a good conversation. We didn't even react to nothing or anything. Yep. It was a good conversation night. Yep. And hey, in a night where the beginning of our conversation was actually talking about the fact that no one conversates anymore. Good job.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're not ready to jump out of here and go to Discord, then we have less than a minute because it is now technically 4:20 somewhere.
That's right.
So,
and hey, man, I got to call Marvel. This is the Punisher skull, right? Not only has the new writers for the Punisher done away with his skull. They have decided that the Punisher is too violent. So they're doing what Marvel has done away with the Punisher. So I'm like, well, if Marvel does away with the Punisher, is DC going to do away with Batman? Have we really gotten that far?
Dude, are they gonna cancel
That's
Spawn?
offensive.
Are
They're
they
gonna
gonna cancel
they're gonna
Spawn?
cancel fucking Batman. They've canceled the Punisher. Frank Castle is no more. They have
Screw
canceled
this cancel
Punisher.
culture.
Fuck that shit, man. Don't like it, don't read it. Fuck you.
Can I just say that in 2023, at the end of this podcast, I really want to like each and every one of you, but I just don't give a fuck about your feelings. So, if we could work a common ground and figure out how to navigate
Right.
life that way, because, dude, why is everybody so freaking emotional? Like, did y'all get like somebody pinched the bottom of your foot when you were like a minute old or something? Like, what happened?
Look, my daughters, and we talked about this. I wanted to be around for my daughters coming up because of the world we live in. My daughters at school kind of started getting programmed with some of that, everything being offensive, everything being this. And I'm like, let me tell you something. When you get out in the real world, if that shit is flying on you now, everyday life is going to burn your ass. Because, I mean, if you work that hard to find something offensive, you're going to find it. You're going to find it. A lot of people that even disagree with you, they're not meaning to offend you. They speak their thing or they say their thing or whatever. They're not trying to offend you. They're not trying to be an asshole. Quit looking so hard for something to fucking be offended about.
And one of the things I'm going to tell everybody, because Daniel knows some of my stories, some of you do from the Discord, man. If you've been through hell and back, it's very infuriating to see somebody lose their shit over something minuscule. Okay, if you're going to lose your shit over every fucking post or every freaking somebody said something that offended you, what the hell are you going to do when some real shit happens?
And you know what happens? Because they get that programming happens. There's this girl that I know in my life today, and I'm not going to call any names, but she has gotten on that bandwagon where everything is this, that, or the other, and everything gets offensive. Everything offends. Everything bothers.
Does she work for the View?
But it has built this fragile nature of her in her brain to be so hurt by everything. Now, you take something like, let's say she drops her purse. That's a suicide level event,
right?
Because she can't cope. Oh my God, I dropped my purse. I'm like, and it starts with that being offended and finding some reason to be ass hurt about everything. I'm like, look, if it doesn't affect you personally, if it doesn't fucking hurt you personally, so the fuck what? So the fuck what? Why are people working so hard to be offended?
Life is never going to be fair. It may treat you really good, but you know what? It's still not fair. Because while you're going through that, somebody else is fucking eating shit. Right? That just life isn't fair. And so stop acting like a victim over everything. For Christ's sakes, dude,
let me tell you something
special.
I even had to hand it to my mom a little bit, give her some shit, because my mom grew up old school and even frail and old and in her condition. Don't test Wanda. Don't test Wanda. However, we were watching some commercial the other day, and it's filtering, and she's very conservative. She's not part of the I'm offended by everything, I'm blah, 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 blah kind of culture. However, it has crossed the line in the fact that people get so oversensitive now, because like we were watching this commercial, and I didn't even see it, man. But there was some little thing in the commercial. This girl had a little peach fuzz on her lip or whatever. And mom just decided that was a man trying to be a woman and blah, blah, blah. And she got pissed off and livid. Don't that piss you off? I said, Mom, let me tell you something. If I let every little thing every day fucking piss me off, I would be a miserable. If I looked that hard, I was like, Mom, you have seen shit far worse than that in your real life and never been bothered about it. I was like, it's now crossing over. People are so defensive about the people getting so offended. They look for shit to be offended about. I was like, I've watched that commercial 100 times and not given two shits. I was like, if I let every little thing fucking bother me, I'm going to be a miserable motherfucker. Save that shit for the shit that fucking matters.
Yep.
Don't go looking for it. And my mom was like, it sounds like you're calling me a liberal. I was like, I ain't calling you nothing. I was like, you sat there and looked for something to get pissed off at. Don't. You've watched that commercial 100 times sitting here with me and you ain't said shit. This one time, for whatever reason, well, I don't think that's blah, 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 blah. I'm like, she's like, that don't bother you? I said, I don't care. I was like, if I sit there and thought about it hard enough and gave myself a reason to care, then yeah, it might bother me. But I was like, look, there's enough shit in the world today. Don't go looking for something to be pissed off about or looking for something to be offended about.
Dude, there is so much shit that goes on every day. And I work with that with my wife. Like she has an issue where she gets frustrated pretty easily if something changes in a plan or whatever, right?
Right.
And I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, don't get upset about it. We can still fix this, right? It is what it is. There's not a damn thing we can do to change it. We just have to figure out how to fix it from here, you know. Right. But I mean, dude, literally, I watched somebody recently just almost quit their job because somebody yelled at them at work.
Yep,
that's right. No cheese left to go with the wine.
My wife is visiting with her family this week, and one of the family members she's visiting with, her daughter was pulled out of school in 8th grade because somebody called her a name. And that girl is now 20-something with kids and still living at home because, you know, this whole bullying thing, I'll put it this way. I saw an argument today on Facebook that I had to comment on. And you know me well enough to know I don't give a shit what people do in their personal life. That's their business. It's not my business. But somebody didn't like a homosexual tone to something. And this guy said, in the comment about whether or not it was natural. And he said, well, look at nature and you see it happen. So it must be natural for humans too. And I said, no, wait a minute. It's funny how people pick and choose their topics of argument of nature. I was like, because cannibalism, eating the young or murdering the young of others,
killing the male after
I was like, right, there's a lot of shit that's prevalent in nature. Are you saying that because that's natural, we should adopt that practice as humans?
No. Here's what we should adopt.
As like, you know, quit using that argument because you're picking one isolated thing. Either you use that same logic across the board for all things natural or none. Don't just pick and choose what you think works for you.
Here's what we should use across the board. We should demand lower gas prices because $5.29 to $5.69 is bullshit. We should demand that these politicians quit whining about how much they don't get paid if the freaking budget collapses. Not my problem. You guys are rich. We're getting screwed every day by you. It ain't new to us.
And that's the only thing Congress agrees on year after year is their pay raise.
That's it.
That's the only thing the liberals and conservatives agree on. Oh, it's time for that pay raise. Motherfucker, I ain't seen that the first one of y'all do your goddamn job in about 15, 20 year. So how about you do your fucking job?
Dude, Jesus Christ, man.
Then we can talk about race.
This is my wife says something about, I don't know what is it when you pay peanuts you get monkeys, right? Well, we ain't paying peanuts, but we got monkeys somehow. Like, I could do a better job for the money they're getting paid, dude. Like any of us could.
That's what I'm saying. Break them motherfuckers down to what I make until they get something done. I bet something will happen then. Something will happen then.
Well, with that, I'm going to let you know that if you want to join us, we are going to go over to the Discord, and I am willing to tell you all in the Discord what the funniest shit is I ever heard, that if I said it on YouTube, we'd get thrown out. So feel free to join us in Discord. And Daniel, again, thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I want to thank everybody, Jesse and Chad, for joining in, and Madam Red for sitting in the back room and helping us. Y'all get over to the Discord. Red, make sure that you got the link up one more time, and we'll see you guys over there.
And thank everybody that is watching this live. Thank everybody in the comments. Again, my live, well, it's usually hour, but tomorrow night it'll be my live stream. Will be tomorrow night. Y'all come see us for a good time. And
we'll be here.
Thanks for letting us talk about nothing for a while.
Hell yeah.
Conversation is awesome.
Yeah. Hey, install it again. And you better get over here, Joy. All right. We'll see you. Peace, everyone.
Love you, mean it.
Love you, mean it.